So then I will get started. And if you do know me already, I'm Dr. Carla Couturier. If you don't know me, that's who I am. I'll talk a little bit about myself a little later, but I did want to start once again by thanking Elizabeth. She is an amazing member of your PTSA, very, very motivated and really supportive of me as well as your student as well.
Oh my
So
God, you're so cute, Carla. You're the best. We are in great hands. Which,
you'll be surprised how many people I work with that aren't as amazing as you are. So this is
oh,
all coming from my
you're
heart, and
awesome.
this is definitely the truth. So
Thank you so much for this. We appreciate you.
yes, thank you. So I know Elizabeth has some conflicts, so she's going to watch the replay and she might, check out in a few minutes. But today I really wanted to talk to you all about understanding and managing preteen emotions. So yes, emotions can be all over the place, and our preteens generally don't know how to handle them. And it's sometimes exhausting. I shouldn't say sometimes, always exhausting for us to sometimes support our teens, whether we're their parents, their coaches, their aunts, uncles, whatever it might be, to support them through those ups and downs. It's really tough to see them low. And when they're really high, you want to, get on that momentum. So it's definitely a very important topic. To speak about for sure. So I want to start by talking about their brain. So like, I know many of you have thought of yourselves, have found yourselves kind of just wondering, like, why is my teen having this outburst? Or why are they so sad and depressed? What's going on? And then you come to find out it was something that you and I think is not really a big deal. So what's going on here? And, what's going on with their brain? So it's really common for them to have these emotional ups and downs, feeling confused, feeling overwhelmed. But it's all about us understanding, their brains and helping them to build that strong emotional foundation, and communicating with them. So their brain development continues throughout adolescence. As we know, by the time they're 25 is when our brains are fully formed. So if we're looking at a 12-year-old, 11-year-old, 13-year-old, they're only halfway there. So their support really needs to come with helping them to regulate their emotions, their impulses, and helping them to make the best decisions they can. So they're becoming more independent, more socially aware, and they're really stepping into that new identity, whether it's I'm in middle school and I'm about to step into the identity of a high schooler, whether I'm in 6th grade and I'm moving to 7th grade, whatever it might be, but they're always shifting into something new. I was just talking to Elizabeth, and her daughter's into volleyball, and that's like her new identity. She's a volleyball player, and that's really positive and amazing. And then what's going to come next for her? What identity will she shift into next while she continues to do volleyball? So with that being said, there's a lot of good, and then there's a lot of things that can create a lot of angst in your family, mood swings, risk-taking behavior, and really just like doing what their friends are doing, for social acceptance at times. So it's a really crucial time for them on all levels. So they basically are at this pivotal point. Their bodies are changing, their social circles are expanding. And with this all comes emotional regulation. So why does this matter? And some of this you may already know, or you feel it, and you see it on a daily basis, but this is why we're here in this presentation. And it's really critical to support them in all aspects. And honestly, like, it's a lot on you. So during this time, we really want to lay the groundwork for them to be the most emotionally intelligent they can be, because long-term, that's going to have a great effect on them. And again, in addition to thanking Elizabeth, I want to thank all of you for being here. Those of you who have been here before, and those of you who are new to me. I know you can be doing a myriad of other things at this point, and you've put yourself and your family first. So it's not easy. And from the bottom of my heart, I really appreciate your support and being here today. And I spoke a little bit about emotional intelligence. So why is emotional intelligence so important? So if you were to look at research, 11% of improvement in academic performance is based upon emotional intelligence. 58% of job performance is tied to emotional intelligence. So all of you have whatever career you're in, and you can tell it's all about building relationships, communication. Anytime the communication is off, anytime your relationship is off with a a client, a prospect, a fellow coworker. It all comes down to emotional intelligence. So for our preteens, they really need to be equipped with these strategies. Yes, they need to learn everything they're learning at school, science, social studies, etc. But these soft skills, so-called soft skills, are going to help them when they're working on a team, or they're selling something to a client, or they're marketing. And these are things that, schools do not teach in many aspects and many respects, and things we need to supplement our preteens with. So, according to research, the Journal of Youth and Adolescence said that emotional regulation skills are 50% less likely to develop depression or anxiety disorders in adulthood. So if your teen has their ups and downs and their mood swings, and they're able to handle their emotions and learn how to process and let them go and not sit in them and regulate them and sit in them, feel them, but then regulate them out so that they can go back to that positive momentum and state that they were in, they're 50% less likely to have depression as an adult. So what this basically builds is emotional resiliency for them. They are apt to make, I found one study where it make $29,000 more each year if they have a higher emotional intelligence, and their career success in leadership is 75% more likely to happen. So they might get a higher position in their job. They might start their own business. They might run something. So they're really more likely long-term to be very successful within their careers. And then outside of their careers, just now, they're 20% more likely to engage in non-risky behaviors. So preteens at times are, kind of deciding who they want to be and what group they want to be in. And then when they get to high school, it's a little bit even more challenging if they don't have that core solid friend group. And the emotional intelligence for them is going to solidify, who they are, what their beliefs are, the values that you've instilled in them. So that when they go to high school, though, they were presented with more challenges, and they're able to overcome those challenges much better. And by that, I mean in a much safer manner, not hang out with certain kids, they're able to say no. And that's a huge, huge thing for adults and teens alike. So I met many parents that have been, really stressed about the emotional ups and downs of their teens. They're feeling frustrated, exhausted, totally get it. And basically their teens' emotions can feel out of control. So I know there's a big scale here. So you have teens that are completely out of control. I've spoken to parents before where, they wanted to work with me. We'd get on a call and the teen couldn't even get through the first couple questions without having like an emotional breakdown. And it hurts my heart, and probably hurt mom's heart way more than mine, because they're not even open to the fact of how to regulate that emotion. It's just so overwhelming for them. And there's that much anxiety that they're not sure even how to communicate with an adult or with another human being about that. So a lot of parents will think, well, they're just frustrated with the outbursts or the emotionality of the teen. But the real issue lies in supporting them in how to manage these emotions. Instead of rescuing them, letting them feel it, but then giving them the tools to kind of come out on the other side in a much stronger manner. And it's pretty much why you're here today. You're that type of parent that is like, I do know how to handle some of this. Some of this is coming at me. I don't know how to handle it. What can I use? What can I do to fully support my teen without stepping in and feeling those emotions for them and taking them on? Because the moment you take them on and they lose that responsibility for their emotions, they've lost all their power and they're unable to handle it on their own. And ultimately, we want to let them handle it on their own with our support from the sidelines. So it's not about fixing it for them. It's about guiding them through it. And that's very, very important here. And I've worked with a lot of, parents that have seniors in high school, and they haven't worked with them from the sidelines and supported them. They've kind of done everything for them and are now out trying to implement strategies. And it's not too late we're working on those strategies. But, imagine if they did that at 13, 5 years younger. So it's a process and it takes time, but their brains, just like their muscles, just like they can build their biceps and their triceps, they can build new neural pathways in their brains. And that's what we look to do here. Before we get into some of the keys that I have for you today, I did want to just introduce myself to those that do not know me. And for those that know me, just, a little refresher. So I have been a teacher and assistant principal and a college professor for 20 years. I have my doctorate in educational leadership. So I'm very well versed in the middle school and high school space. I spent about half of my career in middle school, half in high school, with a little spattering of college and elementary in there. And I've worked with over 10,000 families. And as these in these positions, I was very effective, but effective to a point. So, maybe your teen was getting in trouble. Maybe your teen was coming to me with anxiety. Maybe they were overwhelmed with their AP class. Whatever the concern might be, I could help them to a point, but we really couldn't get to the root cause of where the anxiety was coming from, where the decision-making or behaviors were coming from, what were their beliefs behind that. And that's why I decided to work as a coach. And so I fully exited my positions. I'm completely a coach, full time now. And honestly, like, a lot of what I do is, yes, focusing on the teen, but what a byproduct of that is when I work with the whole family, is that the family may not come to me saying our relationship with our teen is not going well. They might not come to me with that. And it might not be a major problem, but it's always a byproduct of what I do with the teen, that their relationship with their teen starts to grow even stronger. So something they might not even have thought of it definitely is a byproduct of that. So just a little bit about me. And, the reason I started all this was, yes, because of that. And also because of myself. When I was a teen and going through the same things that our teens go through today. Yes, they have technology. Yes, there's differences in the world we lived in and the world they live in. It may be a little more complicated, a little different, but they still have those core emotions of I'm not enough, feeling, depressed, not feeling they're pretty enough, not feeling they're good enough at that sport, being afraid to talk to other people. What all of the things, we can go on and on, they're feeling, we felt back in middle school and high school. So they just have different pressures today than we had. So basically, I'm here to help everyone thrive and live a much more empowering existence, teens, parents, families alike. My goal today is to show you that, yes, does this sound like your teen? Do they have, outbursts that are disproportionate to the situation at hand? Do they sometimes withdraw from the family? And yes, we know they like to do things with their friends more than they are starting to like to do things with their friends more than they like with us, if they haven't done so already. But are they really, withdrawing? Do they have difficulty concentrating and focus? Is there a drop in their school performance, or are they still getting the A's and B's, but are they working that much harder to stay focused or to complete tasks? And is there any kind of, fear, sadness, hopelessness, that is long lasting within them? So we don't want to underestimate the emotional challenges that they are going through, even though they sometimes do not know how to respond to us, and it is completely inappropriate at times. That's maybe not the time to talk, but we want to make sure we acknowledge that it's tough for them. That opening that, creating that open communication is the way to give them a safe space to express their feelings. And by you building your emotional toolkit so that they can build their emotional toolkit is definitely going to help them manage obstacles with much more ease. And really, there's in some of the things that you are doing as a parent, there's only like a small change that might not need to be made. And I'm going to give some examples a little bit in a few minutes of just small shifts that kind of habits that we get into in responding and reacting to kids, and ways that we can shift that in the moment, are very, very important to their growth and your growth as a family. So the best way to cultivate a powerful relationship with your teen is really doesn't have anything to do with their thoughts and their beliefs. It's all about the adult thoughts and beliefs. So do you share how you process your emotions with your teens? Are you able to be vulnerable with them? And does your teen feel safe to share their emotions with you? So I can give you an example of, I have a lot of overwhelmed teens that I worked with, and they just want to be understood. They want their feelings acknowledged. And oftentimes, for example, I would be in, meetings with parents and the teen, and we go through this session and the parents talking, all about the teen, and I really had to kind of speak to the teen afterwards. And it wasn't a fact of like not, speaking with the parent, but it was like, what do you really feel? What are you thinking? Just providing that space for them to open up, and knowing that a lot of the parents, what their thought and their feeling was they were just so over seeing their teen feeling less than. And so in essence, they didn't mean to do this, but they were suffocating them and disempowering them. When really it's okay, like, let's see what is going on in your brain, in your world as a teen, whether without judgment, whether we think in the back of our mind it might be crazy to us, what's really going on. And having probing them with open-ended questions at times when they're able to handle that. So if we as adults are not explaining or modeling how we process our emotions, how are they going to be able to do this? So they can with our instruction, but also what about like in the moment sharing with them? And ways to acknowledge their feelings by asking open-ended questions are as simple as, like, it looks like something's bothering you. Do you want to talk about it? And they may say no, flat out. And fair enough, then now's not the time. And it may be that, okay, well, later on, hour later, next day, whatever, ask again when they're more calm. Or, you don't seem like yourself right now. I'm here if you want to talk. And just offering that to them, versus a lot of parents will go in and, oh, it looks like you're upset, or you really mad about this, and trying to guess what they're feeling, or trying to tell them what they're feeling, or certain phrases that just right away, have their teen put the wall right up because it doesn't feel comfortable. And I know, for like, if I talk to you as an adult and I said, oh, you look pissed off, and what's wrong with you? Or what, right away, you're like, oh, who is this woman? But if I said to you, oh, Mrs. So-and-so, is everything okay? Like, I'm here if you need some support. And you may say no, but you also may, the next day go, I feel like I'm ready. Can I run through this with you? This is what occurred in our household or with my teen. So it's just the approach there, and fostering that safe environment with those open-ended questions, and just those regular, small check-ins. And yes, we have to kind of track our teens, but can we get to the point where we give them enough autonomy that they start to check in with us? And we make those check-ins something that they look forward to, and something that they feel is almost like a reward, for lack of a better term. Like, they're able to show you how good they're doing with certain things. And I was speaking yesterday about this on Facebook. It was very hard for some of my teens to share their wins. A lot of high achieving teens just think it's no big deal that they made the volleyball team or got an A on the test, or it just is never enough. So taking a moment to step back and acknowledge, like, how awesome you're doing, or you were able to get your grade from a C to a B. It doesn't have to be that you're a straight A student. It's that growth, that you took the initiative to get some of your assignments done and handle this. So it's a celebration. Secret number 2, you can consistently encourage your teen to spend more quality time with you without coercion. So I'm sure everyone here has a very busy family schedule. It's chaotic. Your routine, you have work, you have husband, wife, partner, families, the whole nine, all the sports, all the activities. And everyone's exhausted, and there's can potentially be inconsistency in rules and what's going on. And though we had this boundary and now we're breaking it and we're too busy to worry about it and we can't handle it now, and it just gets chaotic. And it's all, we're all in that boat. And it's very important to kind of check in, like almost like spring cleaning. Like I was doing that the other day, cleaning out something and just thinking like, it's kind of like you have to do this with your family. And whether it's a mentally, every individual has to kind of like reset themselves. If you have to have like a family meeting once a month to just kind of check in and, kind of ground everyone and what's working, what's not working. But it's really about providing the clear routine and boundaries. And teens really thrive in predictability, even though they want to sleep in or, don't want to do anything but game. They thrive on those, on routine. So it's really important for us to implement that, though it may be difficult. So I worked with a family where their teen really expected them to get good grades, be involved in activities, just function at a high level, making all these decisions that were difficult decisions. And they definitely, the teen stayed up as late as they wanted to, ate whatever they wanted to, terrible, went to school sometimes, missed school. And then they would threaten them, and and then they would never do anything. And then these idle threats just went in one ear and out the other. So they were kind of acquiescing to the teen, okay, well, they are getting good grades, so they can kind of do whatever they want. And it's not that your teen has to be on this rote, structure and be looking at their calendar every moment. But it is good to start getting those habits and routines into place, using a calendar, going to bed at a certain time, having a morning routine. So these things are really important these healthy habits are really important to promote and to follow through on them. And sometimes it's hard for parents to follow through because they have so much going on. And a lot of times what I do is yes, I am a teen life coach, but I'm an accountability coach, so I was working with a girl last night, and she's trying to infuse working out. She's a senior, into her repertoire because she's very stressed out, but she needs some sort of release. She needs to get back into physical activity. And we basically sat there and I said, who are you going to go to the gym with tomorrow? And she said this person's name. So right then and there, I was like, you need to text her right now. She texted her. They set up a date for today to go to the gym. And then we made a goal that she was going to go on Thursday as well. So, and then next week we're going to work on that. And so it's small baby steps. But it is super important for those baby steps to be put into place and to be followed through on. So that very consistent environment. And, another thing I was working on with another teen was like a reflective journal. So whether it's daily, whether it's weekly, but what worked, what didn't work, what do I want to do more of? What do I want to do less of? So it's taking that step back and reflecting. And this is something that I do. Again, I do all the things that I'm, telling my teens to do. Something that you can do, even as a parent, just sitting there going like, say it's, I don't know, Sunday night, and you're reflecting on the week. And you're like, you know what? It really worked when I spoke to my daughter in such and such a way. We had a great conversation. And then, what didn't work is when, I had another conversation with my son at another time, and, he wasn't in the right frame of mind. I was upset, and, that didn't work. So next time, this is what I'm going to do. So just as simple as self-reflecting, or, what boundaries are working for our family, what aren't. I was talking to a 10-year-old the other day, and she's like, this is my bedtime, and this has been working for me for this while, but I'm going to talk to mom about adjusting my bedtime. And okay, yeah, I don't know if that's appropriate for her or not. That's up to mom to decide. But just kind of, she was self-reflecting, and she was thinking she can handle this, and it wasn't working for her this way. So providing that structure and that predictability is very important. We spoke about emotional regulation earlier. So it just with these two key insights, you can spend less time really worrying about your teen's future while still championing their path to success. So a lot of parents that I work with are always stepping in to the fear that their teens might fail, might not get into college. They might become depressed. They might not make the team. They might, all of these things that you know, and we as adults go to that too. Like, I might not make enough money this year. I'm going to be living on the street. Our brains just go to that thought. And it's like, okay, hold on, wait a minute. Let's take a step back and let's kind of like step into our power and, you know, and not go to the extreme all the time. So I definitely know that, a consistent routine, as we said before, can help to bring that down a notch. But I also know getting in the habit of doing things that, um, separate your teen from being overloaded. And I talked about the one girl going to the gym, but also, like, let's say impulsive responses. So I have a boy that is a little bit younger than he's 10, but his big thing is he continues to get in trouble at school. And he's a sweetheart, he's a smart kid, but he gets in trouble for leaning back in his chair. So between, you know, us right here, so what? But what happens is the teacher keeps, you know, rightfully so, making sure that he's safe, that he's, you know, not hurting himself, and he keeps getting in trouble and he keeps getting yelled at. So he impulsively just leans back, impulsively leans back. And what we worked on was he felt that his identity for himself was that he was unfocused. And I'm unfocused. I get bored, I start daydreaming, and that's when I start leaning back in my chair. So he was good enough to be able to reflect and, kind of see his patterns. So he then came up with a phrase that really worked for him to stay focused. He came up with like a new affirmation that I am focused. And with that affirmation, he came up with evidence of himself as a focused individual. And over time, the last couple of weeks, he's been practicing this, and he still leans back in his chair, but he's able to catch himself right away before he gets in trouble with the teacher. So little by little, that's going to play out into him no longer being scolded by the teacher, no longer leaning back in his chair, and really being able to regulate and be aware of when he starts to daydream, when he starts to get unfocused. And, you know, that's a small strategy, but that's big, because if he can, you know, not have those conflicts with the teacher, and he can, you know, build up that positive momentum, what will that do for him academically? What will that do for him long term? Um, and some of the things I have listed here as well are a lot of mindfulness that I know I incorporate. If I told you how much time I spent meditating or being mindful, a lot of you would just say, I don't have time to do that. And what it is it's about putting these things first. And whether it's deep breathing right when you wake up just for 15 minutes, whether it's, you know, journaling right away in the morning, or at lunchtime when you have a break, whatever your schedule might look like and whatever works for you. But it's really about focusing on taking care of yourself, modeling that for your teen, and then working on how they can really notice their patterns. Once they notice their patterns and that awareness, then that will bring the change. And it is difficult, because I have a lot of kids that necessarily don't want to share certain things, because I know they don't want to change, and they've admitted that. And I've kind of called them on that in a loving way. But hey, this isn't working for you. What you've done for the past 15 years hasn't worked for you. Let's look at this. And maybe it's hard, and maybe you won't do it perfectly, but over time, this is going to shift, the success of you as an individual. So just stepping into what I do for a pathway, and what I work on my clients with, is really a shift. It's an identity shift. And like I said, we have multiple identity shifts over our time on this earth. And it starts with our emotional regulation, building habits and routines, and then integrating that and taking mindful action, not just taking any kind of action, but taking mindful action based upon our goals. Having all of this built on our foundation, as you know, me supporting your family with the values and beliefs that you have as a family, and really transforming this into the vision of your preteen, what they want to step into, who they want to become as far as a teenager, as far as a young adult, and having that purpose driven life. So, no, they may not know at 12 what they want to do as a career, but they may be able to shift and step into someone that likes to work with animals and try that, or someone, and do that through volunteering, or be placed into DECA classes in high school and work on entrepreneurship and see if that's a route that speaks to them. So, and they'll transform over time in small ways and in massive ways. So I found that this is something that I support all my clients through, regardless of age. So if you are interested in further connecting with me, you're welcome to friend me on social media. Facebook is really where I run most of my content. You can read about me, you can listen to my videos. There's a lot of tips and strategies there. I have a YouTube channel that's free. I offer masterclasses such as this. So I'll share my QR code for my group at the end of the presentation. And if you're further interested and you wanted to just book a call with me quick, just 15 minutes just to get to know one another, potentially for a good fit, that's another option that you can, reach out to me for. And yeah, so I offer primarily one-on-one coaching services with unlimited access to me additionally. So I can share that with you. I have, packages that I work with families, the whole family, brothers and sisters. I also, a lot of divorced parents, but what I do is strongly encourage is that all parents are involved. So if any of this appeals to you, totally cool. Reach out to me in one way or another. I would love to just have you in my world and share any of the strategies that I can share with you. If you are not on your phone right now and you want to scan this QR code, feel free. This is the code to my free Facebook group. If you do not have if you're on your phone and you're watching this and you don't have the access to scan this right now, I'll definitely be following up with an email, send you all an email of this presentation. If you got here late, if you wanted to share it with someone else, if you just wanted to rewatch parts of it. And at this point, if anybody has any questions, concerns, comments, anything they would like to share, I'm here for the next few minutes. And if not, I hope to see you. I'll be giving another presentation in January. So we're going to kind of skip this whole holiday season. It gets a little hectic, but I know I'll be coming back to all of you in January, and I look forward to that. So thank you so much for your time. Much appreciated. And I hope you all have a wonderful day.